But believe me, I do not take this lightly at all, and I'm thankful and grateful that he's entrusted me with this responsibility. So I do have notes. Just gonna off the cuff. You know, you get a little nervous, but I want to make sure that I stay on point because you can start to wander over the place. But um, what I wanted to share with you is a little bit about how we got here, a little bit about how I got here. I didn't hear you. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all sit down. My bad. My bad. Y'all sit down, please do. All right. So here's what I want to share with you. All right. How do we get to this ministry, right? And like I said, I'm gonna kind of reach back to a little bit of my history, right? I was born and raised Gary, Indiana, New Tabernacle Baptist Church. So I was raised in a Baptist church. So God's always been a part of my life. What's key though is I never really truly had a father figure. Uh, but I did have older siblings, two sisters that lived in the house with me, brothers, two sisters that are teaching you how to treat a woman, be with a woman, brothers who are teaching you something totally different. And your mother is there, you know what I'm saying, trying to keep you on point. So from that, you know, came down here for school. Dillard got a partial scholarship, ended up coming here, didn't like it, but I love the place, love New Orleans. And left, went to Seattle, came back. That's when I met my wife. We were hanging out, you know, Sandbar Club and doing everything else. But we met, I fell in love with her. Didn't want to be with anybody else. But we needed course and direction. And that's something that we didn't have. And that's why I say Dad plays such an important role in my life. Because even though I had older brothers, I didn't have that father figure, somebody to kind of be stern with you and guide you and direct you, right? That's what was missing, and that was the beginning of my connection with him. I worked at Wendy's, did not like that job. Fast food wasn't for me. Ended up leaving Wendy's, was unemployed for 2 weeks, ended up at C&G in the mailroom. That's when it all started. Okay, C&G mailroom, to see a black male, so positive, you know, the way he carried himself. I'm not saying that, you know, in the role that he was in corporate America, in a predominantly white company, business, but how he carried himself, the things he did, because we weren't afforded too many opportunities, right? And he was a champion for me in some of the causes and things that I was going through there. But I started out in the mailroom, then I became an accounting clerk, and from there, there's some different issues that my wife and I were kind of experiencing going through. We were young. We got married at 23, 24, and just not ready for it. Nobody gave us any course or direction. It was just get married. My daughter was born 90. We got married in 91. The reason for us to get married wasn't just for the fact that we had a child. It was for the fact that in my mind, because I didn't have a father figure, I always told myself as a child the pain that I had from my father not being around, I wouldn't endure that pain, or I wouldn't have my child go through that pain. If anything, I would do whatever it took to be with my wife, keep a whole family, because I didn't want that broken cycle. Okay, and that's all I had. Don't get me wrong, my father's name is Brady. We reconciled, you know, down the road, or we reconciled before he passed away. So there's no, shall I say, I don't have any remorse or hate in my heart towards him. He is who he is. I'm here because of him. All right, so in saying that, like I said, I developed a relationship with Dad at C&G. He was hosting Bible studies. And that's when my wife and I were looking for a church home, trying to find a church home. Her mother was coming with us to help us find a church home. You know, there's some independence that you have to. Her family's here, my family's not. But, you know, and that's just as a protection, you know, a mother, you know, trying to be an overseer for a daughter. And I can tell you when I met Pastor, I was like, man, you know, he's a brother doing his own thing. You know, he's married. Anytime you talk to him, he has something positive to tell you. It was nothing negative, and he would always encourage you. And like I said, even, I can backtrack a little bit, even when I was out there, when I first got down here, my wife can tell you, I could be out all night, come in 2 o'clock in the morning, but I would have my Bible next to my bed, and the strangest thing, I would read several verses before I would go to sleep, halfway not in my mind. And I would get up and do the same thing. So it was always in me, you know what I'm saying? And so that was just, like I said, because of my mother and how she raised us. But anyway, back to Dad. And so he would minister us in Bible study, and he would come down to the mailroom and talk to us and everything. So I said, you know what, let me check this out. And started going to the Bible studies, and it was like, man, the word that he was sharing with us was like mind-blowing. And I'm like, my God, I've never heard anything like this before in my life, And so I go back to my wife and I say, look, you know what? I think I found our church home. I found a minister who preaches and teaches Bible studies, and I think it's something that we need right now in our life, because we were struggling. Right, like I said, you had 2 young individuals who got married, no guidance, nobody teaching you, no counseling prior to, and I was still a young man. I wanted my Friday nights to be hanging out with my boys, Saturday night with my family, Sunday night church. That was all right with me, but it wasn't all right with my wife. But that was me, and that's how, and this is my brothers talking to me, not literally talking to me, but that's how the things that they instilled in me, and some of the generational curses I had to break, because that's how my father was. My father, his parents passed away at a young age, and his older sister raised him, but he ran women, okay? And people say generational curses, you tend to fall in those habits, and I started to fall in those habits, right? And so knowing that that wasn't right, but I was doing those things, okay? And like I said, meeting my brothers imparted to me certain things, how to be respectful, but still out there hanging in the streets. But when I met Dad, it was, man, he has it. This is what I need. And he started to pour. When I say pour into my life, he blessed us so. I mean, counseling sessions. My wife can tell you, we was in his office. Oh my God. It was counseling session after counseling session after counseling session, but he did not give up on us. He didn't. And I'm so grateful and thankful that he didn't. And I would, West Bank Expressway is where we started out at. And, from there, we've been a part of this ministry. So, like I said, I just wanted to say, you have to stay encouraged and not give up. And like I said, a lot of times people look at, not at where you started. So like I said, I just want to paint a picture and show you that for us to get to where we are, it's nothing but the grace of God. But not only that, it's the connection, it's the man of God. I came all the way from Gary, Indiana, right? From Wendy's to CNG to meet my man of God. That was my destiny. And I have been a part of this ministry for 20, I haven't gone to any, I've only been a part of several ministries my entire life. Early on, I forgot what church we initially was a part of with my mom, and then New Tabernacle Baptist Church my entire life. I was in Gary, Indiana. And then when I came here, this ministry. So we're rooted and grounded, and we're not going anywhere. You see what I'm saying? And that's what people have to understand, stick-to-itiveness. You have to, regardless of the challenges, regardless of who you see here, who you don't see here, it's a personal relationship that you have with your man of God, and you see what I'm saying, with God, in Christ himself. So don't get caught up with who's not here or why they're not here. It's your personal walk and understanding how, believe me, the first family, they pour into our lives. There's so much that the sacrifices that they make for us, the things that they do. I have never in my life met a man like Dad who is, I say he's uniquely different. When he tells you he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He will challenge you. He will push you. He will prod you. Even if you don't, he's going to, iron sharpens iron. And what men in this day and age, what they need is a man that's going to get in their face and challenge them, especially if you didn't have that dad there. And there are too many of us out here, young black men, who don't have that father figure. And that was my draw to him. It's like, I need guidance. I need direction. I didn't have it, and I didn't have it to the point where I was, failing in my marriage. And that's the thing that drew me closer to Christ, even though God was a part of my life and I grew up in the church. That was very important to me that my marriage survived. I did all that I could do and not easily give up, because in this day and age, people throw up their hands so fast and they're like, I'm done. I have friends who were married 3 years, 2 years, a couple of months, and they throw up their hands and that's it. And so that's not even making an effort to make it work. But when you have those challenges, you have to find somewhere, a ministry, somebody that's going to minister to you, to give you the insight that you don't have. As men, we're very prideful. It's hard for us to go to another man and ask for guidance. But sometimes you have to understand that what's that sacrifice? What is it that you can lose? You see what I'm saying? You have to be able to find that connection, someone that's going to minister to you and give you the truth. And that's what Dad did for us. So that's just some of what I wanted to share with you, and I got to go back to my notes because now I'm kind of getting off point. But I just wanted to kind of develop that picture on how I connected to Dad, how I became a part of this ministry for 25 years. And like I said, a part of that was the fact that we were a young couple trying to find course and direction, and he gave it to us. The counseling sessions. Now, got to throw some scripture in there. Proverbs 19:20, 21. Listen to advice and accept discipline, and to the end, you will be counted among the wise. Many are the plans of a person in a person's heart, but is it the Lord's purpose that prevails? Can you give up your dream and your vision to see your man of God's dream and vision come to pass? It's very important. Can you do that? Can you make the ultimate sacrifice? Because here's how I understand my relationship. There are a lot of times that you hear things that you may not understand. When we first got to this ministry, God that ministers to you, that gives you the insight during the course of him ministering to you, it's based in the scripture. He's going to give you the word for you to go back and read the word. He's just not shooting off the cuff. And that's what was important. Some ministries that I went to, it was, okay, wait a minute, where did that come from? That doesn't make sense. You back and read it. But in this case, I may not have understood everything that he was saying, but, and this is what I share with people, what's so important is people walk away from ministries quick, fast, and in a hurry. I see people sometimes, and I know in the back sometimes we'll try to reach out to them. Sister Alita does sometimes. I know some of the men, you've done that too also. And we see some people walking away. They don't spend enough time to sit down and understand and hear everything that's being said to them because they don't understand it. But if you were in a class, if you were in college, if you were in school, you're not going to understand everything that teacher's sharing with you. You're not. What are you going to do? You're a student. You're going to listen to what that teacher has to say, but you're going to go back and read that book, that text. And you're going to say, oh, now I get it. And you have to go back to that class. You may not get it the first 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but sooner or later you crack those books open, you start understanding what it is that teacher is teaching you. Why don't we apply that principle in the body of Christ? Same principle. You can come to a ministry and sit 30 minutes. The man of God may say something to you that's offensive to you, that's in your heart. He's not directing anything at you, but you get offended and you walk away. Why do we do that? When you don't take the time to sit back, relax, stay in that ministry to understand what it is that's being taught to you, crack open the book, the Word of God, let God minister you and soften your heart for the message that's being sent to you. We don't practice, that's just a principle, just a worldly, not even, it's a worldly principle in a sense. You see what I'm saying? It's just using common sense. And so that's one of the things, like I said, you just have to not give up, stick with it, you understand, and let the man of God just minister the word to you. I think my wife, has a couple of things she wants to share, so I'm going to go ahead and let her talk for a little while, and then I'll flip back because there's some other things I wanted to share because I just wanted that's a part of our journey, how we got here. And like I said, it wasn't easy. And like I said, he challenged us, but it's important that we are challenged. So I'm going to let her share a few things, and then we'll talk about, financially some of the issues that we had, and how we overcame those issues and where we are right now, the things that we had to do to get to where we are. Because it wasn't just a matter of, oh, we're going to move in the English term. So, yeah, here's the money. We're going to do it. And wow, we were there. Didn't happen like that. And so that's why I say it's so important for everybody to kind of understand that journey. So I'm going to let my wife come up and share some things with y'all. Oh, yeah, yeah. My bad. Go ahead.
Hey y'all. Hey. So y'all could hear me good? Oh, okay. Well, first y'all know I'm very short-winded. So, but I'm being obedient. Pastor asked for us to share our journey, and I know lately he been talking about. So I didn't realize it was that long until I really said it. I was like, wow, and um, that brings me to say, uh, thank you. Um, Pretty much, with this is I call it, it's a journey, but it's a process, and it's all a part of not just trusting. You have to walk through the process. You have to trust the process you're going through, and you can't rush it. You can't rush the process. And through our whole journey of, that's just one of the things, because I was blessed also with, I could go all the way back, and if I really had to tell our true journey or the process of where we are now, we'll probably be here several hours. But even with my business, just being connected, how important, Lawrence mentioned about being connected and taking that very seriously about, your connection and staying focused on, on yourself and where you're at and your personal relationship with God, and, just trusting, who God put over us. Our leader. Years ago, one of the things way back when we was on 1901 West Bank Expressway, when we was pretty new in the ministry, and pastor told me one time, and it's just always stuck with me. It's just always stuck with me, and no matter what's going on in the church throughout the years, everything that's happened, he told me to always stay focused. Just stay focused on the word. Don't worry about what's going on around you. Don't look at who's here, who's not here, who's coming, who's not coming, why they left, whatever, because those things will get you off course. So he said, just trust and believe. If you believe, and I do believe, and know that we were sent here. I know we're under a true man of God, with no doubt in my mind. So even when we have seen a lot of changes throughout the years. Some we understand, some we don't, but it's not for us. It's almost like with your parents. You have kids in a natural. As kids, we didn't always understand why our parents was doing this or but we knew that they loved us and it was here, and we trusted in that. So pretty much just going through, these past 25 years we've been here. So that's a long time. We did come here as very young little kids with a baby, not knowing how to really be parents or how to be a husband or a wife. So we did. When Pastor talked about we owe him, and our bill is real high, or it's up there, but there's no amount of money that we could pay for what he have instilled in us, because we got to look on the inside. I came from, I love both my parents, but they didn't know how to be parents or because if you come from broken homes, or you're a product of your environment. So they didn't really know how to be parents. So I came from a dysfunctional home, as a lot of us, here probably did. So me and Lawrence, we got to really see, like, okay, they brought us in. We got to go on the inside to see that, guess what, they're not just preaching this, they're walking this thing out. Every single thing they're doing, they're telling us to do, they're doing it too. And it's okay to fuss. and to disagree. It's how you do it. You don't have to because you had an argument, run away or run to your mama's house or go ahead and sleep in a car, whatever, you know. That showed us these things. And we appreciate those things because our family is together and we are where we are now because of that. Also, you know, we've been taught the power of the seed and giving your tithes and your offering, and throughout this journey of where we are now, we have had some times where we could have turned around, walked away from each other, walked away from the church, but it was decisions we had to make. And we decided to stay and to stick it out. And we was in some really sticky situations because we was trying to rush the process. We was like, God, you taking too long. Like, we done been here, we done been faithful, we sowing some seeds, we making some big time sacrifices, and you not doing this fast enough. You know, it's like, I'm seeing my friends, you know, they're dressing a certain way, you know, I like to dress, I like nice things, I always have, you know. So I'm seeing this, and it's like, when our turn gonna come? You know, and it's like, we keep, every time you look, it's like we have to give for this, give for that, give, you know, right when you think you at a point where, oh yeah, it's coming now. We almost there. We got this little stack saved. No, it's not time yet. Then something else comes up, but just like Lauren said earlier about, you said about seeing their vision and putting your vision on the side. That's so true because God will provide. He will make it happen. It's not one time. Not once. I can name so many times I was in my business because Pastor always pushing you, if you ever in a place, if you comfortable right now, you're not going to grow. You're going to stay right where you are. He always, and he makes sure you stay uncomfortable too. Because right when I thought I was, you know, doing a little something, yeah, daughter, he right now telling me, it's time to make some changes. And do some other things. But I know that's what he's here for. And a good coach, a good pastor, a mentor, a leader, whoever, they're going to always push you because they can see something in you that you can't see yourself. You know, so it's just been times where I'm telling you, when I had my business on New Orleans Street, and it was time for us to get out of there. Like you said, we was all crammed up in a building, lights going off here because you had this plugged in and the water going. We was just all on top of each other. And Dad was like, it's time to start looking for somewhere new, daughter. You got to get out of there. So, you know, of course, I started looking, and I found a spot. And he said, and I brought him there. That wasn't the first place I brought him. I brought him so many places. But I was like, this is it. Like, this is really it. And he came and he said, he looked, and if he ever look at you and be like, you sure? You better be sure, because game on. He said, you sure this is, daughter? I said, oh, yeah, I'm sure. He said, okay, well, all right. He said, let's go. You ready? And right when what I thought, I didn't know that he knew. You know, I didn't know yet. I'm just still fresh in the word, you know. So, yeah, but anyway, through that whole process, I don't want to go into too much details, but in that whole process, it was time. I was operating out of 2 buildings at one time. I was to the point where I didn't know how I was going to pay my employees. I was not getting paid to pay my employees. So I know how Dad feel when he say he not getting paid. You know, so you working and you have to, you know, you have to keep things flowing. So I was paying, but through all that, God just it's just so real when they say God is your source, your supplier, your sustainer. He will. Whatever he called you to do, he gonna supply everything you need. He gonna give you all the resources you need. He will sustain you in that place. But what we mess up is we try and figure it out. Like, God, how you gonna do this? Like, I'm gonna move here, but then you're gonna, no. He sent me everything I needed to be where I was. He sent a contractor who just said, I don't know why I'm doing this. I just believe in you. You have passion. I see your vision. Know what? The bank won't give you a loan right now. I'm going to do this work until I believe that something can happen. He sent somebody my way to do that for me, just for me. And sometimes, and I see like where I am right now, sometimes like, know what, you can get comfortable. I'm talking about this, don't get comfortable where you are, because, you want to always stay uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, you always seeking ways to get back in that zone and to get, so right now I'm almost comfortable, like, oh yeah, I'm in my house, I'm chilling on my swing in the back, that swing that Pastor was talking about, I love, that's my spot. So it's easy to get comfortable. But no, you got more to do. You have more to see. I have to be an example. I have people under me that's watching, and I'm like, I got into that place where I got stuck. Literally, I got stuck, and I'm stuck right now. But just a matter of getting, sometimes when you in a place where you get comfortable, you're not seeking God hard and praying and getting up early, because when I was praying, God, how I'm going to do this? Like, I have two set of light bills and a business, and when you have a business, it's not the same $200 like in your house. I have water bill. I have other people that I need to pay who have families they're trying to support. Now I have two of everything. I have this contractor who's taking my word that, know what, you just look like you going somewhere, so I'm, banking on this. I used to go in that shop every morning and fall on my knees and walk that building, that empty building. Thank you, God, for touching the hearts of the bankers, because, see, where I was, I depended on my mama was always my backbone. But God will take people who you comfortable with, He'll get all them out the way. So it's just you and Him now. And that's where I was when, with my business. And He made ways. I'm telling y'all, this is so real. I don't know how. One time I had $10,000 just pop up in my account. I promise y'all I'm not lying. And I know that was nobody but God. Because not one time when I was going through all that did I take my tithe and say, should I not tithe? It was never a question. It was never a question. Once we was taught tithe and offering, that's just like, I don't want to call it a bill, but God, you get paid first. So you get paid first and everything else is going to fall in line, and that's how we live. So that's just the part on my business. I'm going to skip all over that. Y'all see where we are now, and still when you get to a certain place, He has blessed us in our business, but it's time for us now. Either we can be comfortable where we at or just fall off like a dinosaur. And wherever I'm at, I always want to be on the top. I always want to be in the lead. So just with that, and like I said, with our house, same process, a little bit more. 15 years. But 15, I'm saying 15 years, it may have actually been longer than that, because I don't know how I found English term, but because we wasn't in the West Bank, because we lived in Gentilly and in that area on the other side. And I tell anybody right now, sorry y'all, I'm not from the West Bank. So, but I do live over here now, and I've lived over here now pretty much longer than I have the East Bank. But I didn't want to come on this side. And we found a house in Algiers. We found a house, and we was living in an apartment. When we came here, little young couple, didn't know what we was doing. Pastor was like, y'all need a house. Y'all need a house. Y'all paying rent, blah, blah, whatever. Y'all need to be, and so that was a whole nother thing. We owed on student loans. We all these obstacles and things that come your way. We had choices to make. Should we not tithe? Should we not, give this seed? Should we not? No, it's always, we had so many tests, money tests, and one thing is true. You can never outgive God. And a lot of times, those tests come to see who you believe or who you're going to trust in more, me or the money. And don't worry about what's left, because most of the time, you looking at your bank account trying to make it get stacked. No, who you trusting sometimes I'll on purpose do things to challenge myself or to give at another level. Give where you want to go. Give where you see yourself. You know, imagine yourself where you want to be. Imagining yourself, imagine yourself at the stores you want to shop at. Pastor tell us that. He always told us that. And I started doing those things, like, some of the stores that I really like, Neiman Marcus, that's my favorite store, Saks. And when we go out of town, and they have all these designer stores, I find myself just, peeping in. Like I was scared. Like I don't belong there. And Dad, I know y'all remember he always said, go there, go in there, act like you belong. And when you do that, and sometimes you might have to treat yourself to a little something, ask them for a bag, do anything. You do. Because once you do that, you can't see yourself. Once you start buying a certain type of shoe or a certain type of cologne, you can't go back. You can't. So that's you're elevating yourself to the next level. Your imagination, you have to see yourself there. From a little child, I always dreamed of living in certain neighborhoods and just liking and wanting nice things. I always have. But I never thought it was a reality for me to have those things because of what I was around in my surroundings. But your imagination is a preview of what's to come. It really is. So those are, like I said, even when we went, we believed for the house. We found the house times when we thought, Dad told us to pack our boxes. We moving and all. We didn't have so many boxes in the garage for years, sitting up there just doing. But we were still obedient, and we did those things. We still never wavered. I always, even through, we was in a situation where I swear I didn't know. And I was angry with some choices, that, as a couple being married and you have to be on one accord, that's so important. And when you're not in one person, whether it's you or your spouse, y'all trying to rush that process, you can set both of y'all back. And this time where I was angry and bitter with choices that, my husband made, and I'm like, you made that move too quick. Now we sitting here and I made him eat that for a lot of years. He good now. He straight. He made up for it. But, so anyway, we are in our home right now. And again, we not comfortable. Thank you. We glad, we there, and we thank God. It's a blessing. But we still looking to go higher. And we still being pushed, because right when we think we in a spot, Dad he always pushing, and that's what he have done for us throughout the years. And then when we found a house, then on top of that, it's like he threatened me. He said, yeah, don't go get no house just to say, oh, I'm back there. If you get it, it better be done to a certain level, so he's constantly pushing. That's what I love about him and Mom and, the whole family, because that is our family. I mean, like he said, blood is, what did he say? Blood not thicker way. Huh? Yeah, the spirit's thicker than blood. That's true. That is true, because I'm closer to them than I am with some of my natural family. So I do consider them our family, and they have been a blessing in our lives. So that's it. You have something you want?
All right. Yeah, that's it. You took up all the time. I'm thankful for that. No, but no. We just, like I said, we wanted to give y'all a picture of the journey and how we are where we are today. So, and like I said, my wife she painted, women a bit more vivid and more detailed. And so she kind of gave y'all some of the, insights to the stuff. Yeah, I did pay for that for a while, because you didn't tell them, no? Your greatest dream. You remember when you was young? You used to dream about a chocolate man with curly hair.
I have to give him that, y'all. I have to give. When I tell y'all, your imagination, really, it will. It paints. It's a preview of your life to come. From a small child, I did. I dreamt of a chocolate man, curly hair, and a chocolate little girl with curly hair, and that's what I got. So,
I at least wanted to set the record straight. And so, but no, so no, we just wanted to open up our lives a little bit and kind of let y'all know, how we got to where we are. And it wasn't easy, but like I said, once you find a man of God that's going to stick with you in the thick and thick, don't give up. Don't walk away. Stay there. It's a process. Ain't nothing overnight, and that's the problem in this day and age. It's like the microwave mentality. You think it's going to happen tomorrow, and it doesn't. So, one of my other blessings, and I tell this to people all the time. When I left, here's the thing, and this is when you know God is in the works. When I left Wendy's, I had no clue about, how am I going to find a job? Where am I going? I got a family. I got to find benefits, blah, 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 and everything else. 2 weeks later, God placed me at C&G to meet my connection. I have been gainfully employed ever since. Amen. Ever since, for 26 odd years, I've never gone without work. Amen. That's a powerful testimony. And like I said, I attribute that to, like I said, my journey, connecting the dots. So thank y'all. We just wanted to share that bit of information with y'all. I'm glad that you all came to enjoy this. So we're going to just go ahead and they're going to pass out the offering envelopes so we can go ahead and give and get y'all out of here. How about that? All right. I need 3 people to tell me what you... No. I'm not doing that tonight. So I'm glad y'all came, really, and we just wanted to share that with y'all and let you know it's a process. So thank y'all so much. Thank you. And we're passing out a survey. I need y'all to all check files.